think I have to prepare very much. It's about attitude. It's about willingness to get things done.
It is Friday, June 8th, and it's all about attitude. President Trump ready for the Singapore summit. The final touches for the historic sit-down as he heads to the G7 summit today.
Plugging the leaks, the high-profile indictment in the leaks probe just handed down to one of the Senate's most trusted secret keepers.
This is great. Saving the day. The dedicated dad who stepped in to help his daughter during her ballerina performance. The story that will make your Friday morning. Fox and Friends First continues right now.
In love with Friday?
Oh, yeah.
Take that all day.
Always, every Friday.
Yeah, that's right. Good morning. You're watching Fox and Friends First on this Friday morning. I'm Rob Schmidt.
And I'm Jillian Mealy. Thank you so much for waking up and starting your day with us. The anticipation is growing as final preparations are now underway for the historic summit between President Trump and Kim Jong-un.
But first, the president is headed to the G7 summit today, where tensions are at an all-time high with world leaders. Some of them are allies. Jackie Ibanez joins us now with all the details on that. Jackie.
Hi, good morning, Rob and Jillian. Only 4 days remain until the much-anticipated face-to-face meeting with President Trump and Kim Jong-un. The commander-in-chief brushing off recent criticism, saying he's fully prepared ahead of the historic talks while meeting with the Prime Minister of Japan. Listen.
I think I'm very well prepared. I don't think I have to prepare very much. It's about attitude. It's about willingness to get things done.
The latest Fox News poll showing 66% of Americans think that President Trump should meet with the rogue regime's leader. 24% say he should not. President Trump says if all goes well, he's even open to hosting him right here on U.S. soil.
Yes to the second part, certainly if it goes well. And I think it would be well received. I think he would look at it very favorably, so I think that could happen.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who has met with Kim Jong-un twice now ahead of the summit, says the leader is coming to terms on denuclearization.
Has there been progress in bringing that nation closer together?
Yes.
Can you describe that a little bit?
No.
Well, before meeting with Kim, the president heads to the G7 summit in Canada, where tensions are expected to be very high there. It will be the first face-to-face with world leaders after hitting the EU, Canada, and Mexico with those massive steel and aluminum tariffs. President Trump will head to G7 this morning. He's expected to leave early and then will depart for Singapore. That will be tomorrow morning. Rob, Jillian, lots going on.
Busy couple of days ahead, Jackie. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, the Trump administration in nonstop preparation mode ahead of the Singapore summit.
Contributor to The Hill, Matt Schlapp, now crediting President Trump's tough stance throughout negotiations for what he believes will be a successful summit.
President Trump deserves a lot of credit for is this ultimate pressure campaign and the idea that China believed that the President of the United States was serious. By a lot of people's accounts, the Kims are out of money. Or they're running out of money. They're in a different financial situation they were in before. They actually need to have this go better because they have to have the spigot for the resources from China and other places get turned on again. So I'm very hopeful. I actually am very hopeful that the president will walk away if it's a bad deal. He doesn't have to do this immediately. If they need America's help and they need America to take the pressure off China, then he's got to get to a deal. And if they've got to get to a deal, I'm kind of happy we have a president who likes this kind of process. I think that actually plays to his strength, and I'm not that worried that he'll walk away from a bad deal. If he walks away from Singapore, the negotiations, I'm going to be good with it because I know we're going to go to step 2.
All right, wait and see if step 2 is necessary as the June 12th summit quickly approaches.
A Fox News alert, at least 35 people killed and dozens more injured after a reported airstrike on rebel forces in Syria. At least 3 members of the Syrian civil defense were killed helping people evacuate. The area has been part of a de-escalation zone agreed upon by Russia, Turkey, and Iran. It's unclear who carried out that attack. Another Fox News alert. The U.S. Embassy in China sending out a second alert in 2 days about a mysterious health issue affecting Americans. The State Department evacuating more diplomats suffering from dizziness, visual problems, and hearing loss. China is vowing to get to the bottom of the cause. The symptoms eerily similar to those that affected 24 U.S. diplomats in Cuba following so-called sonic attacks. They reported strange noises and showed symptoms consistent with brain injuries.
All right, has a leaker been found on Capitol Hill? The former director of security for the Senate Intel Committee now heading to court, charged with lying to the feds in the Department of Justice's massive crackdown over leaks. Griff Jenkins is live in Washington with more on the alleged leaker's possible links to a New York Times reporter. Hey, Griff.
Hey, Rob, good morning. The FBI has just arrested and indicted James A. Wolf, the former staffer for the Senate Intelligence Committee, as you mentioned, whose job it was for 29 years to safeguard the security of classified information, accused now of making false statements to the FBI last December during the leak investigation at a time when the committee was investigating Russian interference. Wolf is charged with lying about repeated contacts with 3 reporters, including through his use of encrypted messaging apps. U.S. Attorney Jesse Liu calling it a betrayal of the extraordinary public trust that had been placed in him. The Intel Committee chairman and vice chair issued this statement saying, "We are troubled to hear of the charges filed against a former member of the committee staff. While the charges do not appear to include anything related to the mishandling of classified information, the committee takes this matter extremely seriously. They are cooperating with the feds." Meanwhile, the New York Times reporting that the DOJ seized email and phone records from reporter Ali Watkins. The FBI approached Watkins about a previous 3-year romantic relationship with Wolf as they were investigating unauthorized leaks. The Times says the information seized relates to her time at BuzzFeed, predating her work at the paper. But all this comes nearly a year after Attorney General Sessions issued this warning.
Criminals who would illegally use their access to our most sensitive information to endanger our national security are, in fact, being investigated and will be prosecuted.
And lawmakers on the Hill are reacting.
There have been a cascade of leaks, and nobody has been held accountable for any of those things. So I need more information about what exactly is happening here. I know that there's a former staffer on the Senate Intelligence Committee.
Wolf is expected to make his first court appearance in U.S. District Court later this morning. And Rob, we may hear a little bit more about the New York Times saying this appears to be the first known instance of the DOJ going after a reporter's records under President Trump.
Okay. Started under Obama, though. I remember that. All right, Griff, thanks so much. We appreciate it. The highly anticipated Inspector General's report into the Hillary Clinton email probe finally gets a release date. Michael Horowitz telling the Senate Judiciary Committee it'll be out June 14th, which also happens to be the president's birthday. The report critiques how the DOJ and the FBI handled the investigation. Horowitz also agreeing to testify to the committee on June 18th, where he's expected to blast former FBI Director James Comey.
President Trump demanding an ex-Democratic aide accused of bank fraud not get a plea deal next month. The president tweeting, quote, "Our Justice Department must not let Juan and Debbie Wasserman Schultz off the hook. The Democrat IT scandal is a key to much of the corruption we see today. They want to make a plea deal to hide what is on their server. Where is server? Really bad." Imran Awan is accused of double billing for IT services and wiring money to Pakistan. He was kept on Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz's payroll even after the criminal investigation was revealed.
The immigration debate stalling out on Capitol Hill once again. House Republicans spending hours in a closed-door meeting trying to work out their differences on protecting illegal immigrants brought to the U.S. as children. House Speaker Paul Ryan says while no deal was reached, lawmakers have come to a consensus now on DACA.
The White House launching a new attack on the opioid epidemic. The Trump administration releasing new ads detailing dangers of prescription drugs.
I tried Oxy at a couple of parties. I thought I had it under control. I didn't know it'd be this addictive.
The ad is one of 4 released on TV and social media, detailing true stories of young people harming themselves to get drugs.
Well, All right, switching gears now. Washington, D.C. becoming the District of Champions overnight. The Washington Capitals, look at that, hoisting the Stanley Cup for the first time in team history after an epic comeback.
Oh, playoff hockey. Lars Eller's go-ahead goal, taking the Caps to a 4-3 victory over the Las Vegas Golden Knights. One player, though, already says he won't be celebrating at the White House. Devontae Smith-Pelly telling Canada's National Post before their Stanley Cup win that he wouldn't attend because he doesn't agree with the president's rhetoric. It's not ending anytime soon.
No. Congrats to the team, though. Big win for Washington.
Big party probably still going on right now.
Sure.
It is 10 minutes after the hour. Imagine this. You're driving down the road and you see a plane coming in hot. The emergency landing caught on camera on a highway packed with speeding cars.
And calendars mark release of the long-awaited Clinton probe review set for a very noteworthy date. Our next guest says James Comey was more concerned with the reputation of the FBI when investigating Hillary Clinton than the integrity of the actual investigation.
I don't think the family of the victims in Philadelphia who were victims of illegal immigrants, I don't think they're dancing.
And put on blast, a liberal mayor dancing in celebration over a court win against President Trump. How the White House is responding this morning. Fox and Friends First continues. Good morning and welcome back. The long-awaited Inspector General's report on the FBI and DOJ's handling of Hillary Clinton's email server investigation now set to be released next Thursday.
That is coming from the Inspector General after a leak shows the report taking aim at James Comey and how he did his job as the head of the FBI. Here to react to that, counterterrorism expert and Army Special Forces veteran Jim Hansen. Jim, thanks so much for coming on this morning.
Good to be with you.
Yeah, thank you. And the draft report of this allegedly is going to say that James Comey was insubordinate. What exactly does that allege?
Well, if he was insubordinate, that means he wasn't doing what somebody told him. So you got to wonder who's telling him to do something that he shouldn't be doing. And it sounds like it was probably up in the Attorney General's office, being either Loretta Lynch or Sally Yates. You know, Loretta Lynch at one point told him to not call the Clinton investigation an investigation, to call it a matter. And then in Comey's book, he also says that there is classified information that has not been released yet that would show how it would be impossible for Loretta Lynch to be impartial in an investigation of Hillary Clinton. So I think there's probably some dirt up there that may come out in this, and hopefully we'll find out who was actually helping the Clintons. So
right now, as you mentioned, he's allegedly being called this. We haven't seen it yet. It comes out next week. But if this turns out to be true, what is your opinion on what this means going forward? Like, is this still a James Comey problem? Is this a larger problem in the FBI and the DOJ as far as trust goes to the general public?
I think it's a massive problem for trust in the federal government and the politicization of the process of our national security agencies being used. So right now, if the FBI and DOJ were conspiring or colluding to help the Clinton campaign by making it look like there was less dirt there than there was, you've got a problem. You also have fired Deputy Director of the FBI, McCabe, who was in trouble for stopping the investigation into the Clinton Foundation, again at the urging of someone who worked for Sally Yates. So you've got these officials of the Obama administration who seem to have obstructed the investigation and discussions about it into Hillary Clinton's emails to make sure it didn't affect her campaign. That's wrong in so many ways that the public deserves to find out.
We had Judge Napolitano on Wednesday, and we asked whether or not this meant that that Andrew McCabe would be rolling over on people like James Comey, and he actually insinuated that we could see him roll over on Loretta Lynch in order to get that to stay out of trouble for McCabe. Do you see something like that happening?
I think the fact that this report's coming out on the president's birthday and that McCabe's asking for immunity before he'll testify to Congress says he wants a deal, and he would have dirt. You know, he actually received the call saying stop investigating into the Clinton Foundation because you're making them look bad. And he obviously knows all of the things that were going on regarding the email investigation and how that was basically rigged and whitewashed so Hillary didn't get into any more trouble. So I think there's a good chance if anybody's going to turn out to be the singer, it might be Mr. McCabe, and that's bad for Loretta Lynch, Sally Yates, and the rest.
We will certainly see next week.
Big day Thursday. It is hilarious that that's the president's birthday, too. I imagine there'll be a tweet. Thank you so much, Jim. All right, the best day of her life. Alice Johnson speaking out to Fox News, thanking God and the president for her newfound freedom.
The day that I got the news that President Trump had granted my clemency and given me a second chance in life was the best day of my life.
Carly Shimkus here live next with the reaction that's pouring in online. Hello.
Hello. And he took a knee for the anthem and, as you guys know, couldn't get a job. Now he's blaming President Trump. Colin Kaepernick's newest plan to take our commander-in-chief to court. You won't believe it. Good morning and welcome back. Alice Johnson expressing her gratitude to President Trump for granting her clemency and even making a big promise for her future. This was really incredible.
It was. Something else to see. All right, Carly Shimkus with Fox News Headlines 24/7, Sirius XM 115 here with reaction to this very uplifting story this morning, Carly.
Yeah, that's right. She also said that the only thing that got her through her time in prison was her faith in God. And Kim Kardashian West is also speaking out. She worked on Johnson's behalf for the better part of a year. She did an interview on CNN yesterday, and she said that she was pleasantly surprised by the president's response. She said this, look, Trump is the last person I thought would have done this, but he did, and he pulled through. He was compassionate. He was sympathetic to her. He knew this was the right thing. Now, so many people on social media are talking about this. I just want to read some of these tweets because they are very important. Vander says, I bet the president never doubted for a minute that she'd make us proud, referring to Johnson. She's been a good role model while in prison and turned herself around. God bless her. Andrea on Twitter also says, you are an inspiration for so many. Enjoy every moment of the days to come. And Jen on Twitter directed this tweet at Kim Kardashian saying, I think it's great she's using her platform for substantive and positive change.
And you know what was fascinating? She was on Martha McCallum's show last night, The Story, at 7 o'clock, and she reiterated once again, you know, I promise I will make President Trump proud, you know, from here on out. And it's just, she's so sincere when she says that.
She's not taking it for granted, and that's my favorite thing that she's saying too. She says, listen, the president went, you know, above and beyond for me, and she wants to make him proud. I think that's a really special sentiment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so Dad saves the day. This is adorable.
A father's love really knows no bounds, right? A dad in Bermuda, his name is Mark Daniels. He became the star of the show during his daughter's ballet recital. When she started to have a meltdown, he did not want her to go at it alone, so he joined her on stage. Watch this. That he's also holding his other child while dancing. Christine on Twitter says, real fathers do real things to make the fears go away. Travis says, not all heroes wear capes. Hashtag dad life. Yeah, I guess some of them wear ballet slippers. And Trent also says, we need more parents like this. Dad gives me hope for our future.
So great.
Sometimes all you need is a little love from your father, right?
It's intimidating getting up there to perform ballet at a young age.
Saved the day. How cute is that?
Aw.
Carly, thanks so much.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
All right. 25 minutes after the hour, hack attack, a massive data breach exposing the personal DNA information of nearly 100 million people. Kurt, the cyber guy, live next with how to keep your information safe.
Hi, Kurt.
Hey, Kurt.
We're going to load it up with some bad dudes, believe me. We're going to load it up.
President Trump promised to keep Gitmo open, the huge step the U.S. military just took to make sure that happens.
And as we had to break, a live look at the plaza right outside where Mercy Me is getting ready to rock the summer concert series all morning long. Stay tuned.
Still the truth is a cross as a man.
Welcome back. President Trump heading to the G7 summit today, where tensions are going to be pretty high. It'll be the first face-to-face with world leaders after hitting the EU, Canada, and Mexico with massive steel and aluminum tariffs. This as final preparations are underway for next week's Singapore summit with Kim Jong-un. President Trump says he's ready.
I think I'm very well prepared. I don't think I have to prepare very much. It's about attitude. It's about willingness to get things done.
President Trump is expected to leave the G7 in Canada early and will depart for Singapore tomorrow morning. Just a quick stop in Canada. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo firing back at the media, saying there is no bad blood between him and John Bolton regarding foreign policy.
Those articles are unfounded and a complete joke. Ambassador Bolton and I will disagree with great consistency over time. I'm confident. Right? We're two individuals. We're each going to present our views. I'm confident that will happen on issues.
Pompeo going on to say President Trump demands his advisors give their unfiltered opinions, even if they clash. And there has been some of that. An ATF agent in critical condition shot multiple times after a deadly ambush during an undercover operation. One suspect is dead, another in custody. The chaotic scene unfolding in Gary, Indiana. That's the region just outside of Chicago. The injured agent was part of the ATF's effort to help local police crack down on violence in the area. He is expected to survive. And take a look at this. A small plane makes an emergency landing on a Florida highway. This is like something out of an action movie. The aircraft experiencing engine problems, forcing the pilot's split-second decision. The plane had been on a training flight, and there it goes. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. No cars were hit. The FAA investigating exactly what happened to that plane. Jillian.
That's my nightmare on the turnpike, driving past Newark. Yikes. All right, nearly 100 million MyHeritage users are now learning that their private information was exposed in a massive breach. Even worse, hackers had months to get their hands on it. It's one thing to have your credit card number stolen, but what can criminals learn from your DNA? Joining me now is cyber guy Kurt Knudsen. Thank you for joining us. So let's be clear off the top here. As far as we know, nobody's DNA.
No DNA was stolen this time.
Information.
Not this time.
Right.
But what they did get is your email address and part of your password for 92 million people. And what that means is they could get access to your account at some point pretty easily. And this is also a wake-up call saying, yes, what if my DNA got stolen? Because a ton of us have done these DNA kits to find out your family
I feel like
heritage.
Everyone does it nowadays.
Right. You want to know your health risk. Well, guess what happens if that gets in the wrong hands of people?
What?
Well, hackers can do all kinds of evils with it. And one, it includes taking your DNA, putting it out on the public market. What would happen? That means once your DNA is out, you can't undo that. You can't go get a new DNA.
So what can people do with that?
So with your DNA, what they might be able to do down the road that people have concerns about is that you would have the DNA that might suggest that I have a greater propensity for a particular disease, let's say Alzheimer's. And you don't. But they could release that. And so what are my chances of gaining good employment? True. What are my chances of getting a loan? What are my chances down the road should laws change and insurance companies can use that against you? Or if they get that secretly and start putting that in the mix of how risky we are to insure. Worse would be a hacker gets a hold of it, manipulates it. Let's say you and I were running for office and we're a politician, and someone gets a hold of the DNA, they alter the DNA sequences in data, put it back in the file, then expose it saying, you're
unhealthy. You're
unhealthy. Right. You have a strong likelihood of getting Alzheimer's. So, should we vote for Jillian if that's going to happen?
This is mind-boggling.
That's what's going on.
All right. So, how can people who are probably scared now, sitting at home watching this, how can they?
You should be scared. You honestly should just. It's a big wake-up call. So, here's what we've learned so far this year. I mean, go number one when you shop for DNA services because they're fun. It's good. It's helpful information. Compare those privacy policies. This time, you got to read the fine print. look at what's going to happen with my information when I turn over my DNA and how much control do I have over it. When you're there also, you want to make sure that the security policies of that particular company are up to date. And you want to find out, do they have the right way to protect my stuff? And they're pretty forthright about it in their reviews online. And then finally, always choose when you have the service and they have the ability for you to go into your own account and customize it. Turn off all the stuff that says you're going to share it with the world, because sometimes those are in default. And this time you want to make sure you know exactly how you're sharing your DNA.
I mean, I feel like that's just, we should be doing that anyway with everything, whether it be Facebook, as we've seen, social media, our DNA, everything.
True, but it's not always set in the way that protects us, so we have to take that step and say, is my information there being protected? Are they looking out for me? And they're not always doing that.
Oh, thank you for scaring us this morning.
Hey, but I gave you the answers.
But you're so energetic and positive and bubbly when you provide us this information.
Thank you, Jillian.
Appreciate it.
It's Friday.
Yes, it is. All right, it is 34 minutes after the hour. Taxes cut, regulations slashed, the economy booming. Brand new Fox News polls showing record approval for President Trump. Seems like the only ones not happy about it are Democrats. So what is it going to take to get them on board? That debate is coming your way next.
I don't think the family of the victims in Philadelphia who were victims of illegal immigrants, I don't think they're dancing.
And a sanctuary smackdown, a liberal mayor dancing in celebration over a court win against President Trump. How the White House is now saying enough is enough. But first, he won the Kentucky Derby. Then the Preakness can justify pull off a triple crown. Janice Dean is live from Belmont Park ahead of this weekend's big race, and I know you're excited.
Yes! Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Will we have a triple crown? Will Justify do it on Saturday for the 150th Belmont Stakes? The weather is spectacular. What will the weather be like tomorrow? We will have all the details, plus the horses, live from Elmont, New York. Stay with us. The 150th Belmont Stakes is coming to you.
Good morning and welcome back. Alice Johnson expressing her gratitude to President Trump for granting her clemency and even making a big promise for her future. This was really incredible.
It was. Something else to see. All right, Carly Shimkus with Fox News Headlines 24/7, Sirius XM 115 here with reaction to this very uplifting story this morning, Carly.
Yeah, that's right. She also said that the only thing that got her through her time in prison was her faith in God. And Kim Kardashian West is also speaking out. She worked on Johnson's behalf for the better part of a year. She did an interview on CNN yesterday, and she said that she was pleasantly surprised by the president's response. She said this, look, Trump is the last person I thought would have done this, but he did, and he pulled through. He was compassionate. He was sympathetic to her. He knew this was the right thing. Now, so many people on social media are talking about this. I just want to read some of these tweets because they are very important. Vander says, I bet the president never doubted for a minute that she'd make us proud, referring to Johnson. She's been a good role model while in prison and turned herself around. God bless her. Andrea on Twitter also says, you are an inspiration for so many. Enjoy every moment of the days to come. And Jen on Twitter directed this tweet at Kim Kardashian saying, I think it's great she's using her platform for substantive and positive change.
And you know what was fascinating? She was on Martha McCallum's show last night, The Story, at 7 o'clock, and she reiterated once again, I promise I will make President Trump proud, from here on out. And it's just, she's so sincere when she says that.
She's not taking it for granted, and that's my favorite thing that she's saying too. She says, listen, the president went above and beyond for me, and she wants to make him proud. I think that's a really special sentiment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so Dad saves the day. This is adorable.
A father's love really knows no bounds, right? A dad in Bermuda, his name is Mark Daniels. He became the star of the show during his daughter's ballet recital. When she started to have a meltdown, he did not want her to go at it alone, so he joined her on stage. Watch this. love that he's also holding his other child while dancing. Christine on Twitter says, real fathers do real things to make the fears go away. Travis says, not all heroes wear capes. Hashtag dad life. Yeah, I guess some of them wear ballet slippers. And Trent also says, we need more parents like this. Dad gives me hope for our future.
So great.
Sometimes all you need is a little love from your father, right?
It's intimidating getting up there to perform ballet at a young age.
Saved the day. How cute is that?
Aw.
Carly, thanks so much.
Awesome. Appreciate
it. All right. 25 minutes after the hour, hack attack, a massive data breach exposing the personal DNA information of nearly 100 million people. Kurt, the cyber guy, live next with how to keep your information safe.
Hi, Kurt.
Hey, Kurt.
We're going to load it up with some bad dudes, believe me. We're going to load it up.
President Trump promised to keep Gitmo open, the huge step the U.S. military just took to make sure that happens.
And as we had to break, a live look at the plaza right outside where Mercy Me is getting ready to rock the summer concert series all morning long. Stay tuned.
Steal the truth.